Happy Friday. So today's lesson is going to be about rigid transformations. So I'm going to define all of those, and then we will focus on specifically reflection today, and then Monday and Tuesday of next week we'll do rotation and translation, and then you'll have a quiz possibly Tuesday or Wednesday depending on what we get through. So again, rigid transformations. What are they? So transformations, there's a couple different kinds. So it's like this umbrella term, I like to call it. So it can cover multiple things. So it is going to be something that maps each point of the figure to a new point. So I'm going to write this down. Maps So if you have an original picture, something like this, it's going to map it to new points. So that the resulting, I may run out of room. The resulting image, and we'll talk about what that is in a second. Yeah, I'm going to run out of room. The resulting image has the same shape and size as the original. So that's the really big deal about this definition. So rigid transformations, the big part of it is the word image, and then the same shape and size as the original. And we'll be addressing that in each of these specific situations. But there are 3 of them. So let me move this down a little bit so I have some space here. Separate those. So the first one, let's use another color. Let's make it fun. The first one we're going to talk about, and like I said, we're going to go into more detail today, is a reflection. So this is a rigid transformation. So a reflection is flipping something or mirroring. So here is my original shape, and then I have flipped it over this line, and this is my image, the resulting shape after I've flipped it. So this line is the line of reflection. So then the next one down here is a translation. Another way to talk about it is a slide or push. And then the last one here is a rotation. And that is a turn. So notice that all of these have the original shape, and then all of them have an image. And you see that all of those shapes, the original shape, when you get the image just is the same shape and size. And that's the big thing about rigid transformations and the definition. If you are taking an original shape and then you're doing something to it, either reflecting it, translating it. Oh, when I wrote reflection, I forgot to C, sorry. Reflecting it, translating it, rotating it. Whatever you're doing, as long as it's the same shape and size, then it is a rigid transformation. So all reflections, translations, and rotations will be rigid transformations. So when you're dealing with all of those things, because you're dealing with a shape that looks the same, because I'm starting with an original and then an image that looks exactly the same, what that means is you're going to need to be able to talk about the original and the image as they're different shapes. You can't say, hey, the original triangle here, ABC, is the same as It's reflection ABC. You can't do that because you need to be able to talk about it. So let's get zoomed in here and talk about it. So if I'm talking about, again, line of reflection, this is original, this is the image. If I'm talking about the image, I need to be able to say to someone, I took the original and I did something to it to get the image. In geometry, there's going to be a lot of things that you say on paper without actually saying them. So you're using symbols and things to get your point across instead of having to actually write out a whole sentence that says, I reflected this across the line. So looking at the image, you see these little dash things right here? That's called prime notation. And what that means is if I look at my picture, my original picture, here's A, and I reflected A, and it ended up right here. So now I'm saying A went to A prime. So when I write this, A prime, it comes out as saying A prime. So then B ends up to B prime, and C ends up being C prime, etc. So I know you're already thinking it because you're like, I'm killing it, I'm ready, I am so into math right now, let's do this. Well, what if you do it again? So what if you've reflected once and then you do something else and you reflect again? So you could do that, and that would be A and then 2 dashes, which becomes saying A double prime. In this class, we won't go past double prime, and we won't do double prime a lot, but it is possible to go past that. All right, so now you're going to do some practice videos and practice questions with specifically reflections today. Like I said, Monday and Tuesday we'll deal with translation and rotations.